Welcome. I'm excited. This is our very first chat on Unscripted Believe at Noon. And what better way to kick this off than to have one of the first Noon Miracle alumni, Valerie Spencer, along with today's co-host, the founder and creator of the new Noon Miracle, Jane Sibbett. So get ready for a casual noontime chat that flows in whatever direction we choose to take it, unscripted, going with the flow. Enjoy. Ask Valerie, welcome, is that how did you get involved with Noon Miracle in the first place?
Oh, well, my dear friend Jane, my cherished friend Jane Sibbett, told me about this idea that she had been getting, this little tap on the shoulder several months ago. I don't know how long ago it was, Jane, but that she kept hearing this voice in her head, noon miracle, noon miracle, noon miracle. And it was a noon miracle, I'm sure people know by now, but it was a thing that happened at UCLA where actors were given space to perform for an hour at lunchtime, and they could do whatever they wanted. It was sanctioned by the theater department, but they weren't involved at all in the creation of all these pieces. So Jane told me that she was inspired by that idea and said that in this time of chaos, or however you want to phrase it, she felt that artists needed a place where they could go to express themselves, because artists are so effective in times like these, in terms of speaking to people's hearts and inspiring creativity and empathy and perhaps action. But so she tapped me on the shoulder and asked me if I would record one of my Gaia pieces that have been sitting in a drawer for 10 years.
That long?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And I said, oh, yay, because I'm kind of not a real go-getter, and she just nudged me and pushed me until I finally did it. And I'm so grateful, because these ladies have been really, really dying to get out. So.
And Amy, as you know, she's playing in the Gaia Project many different characters. Valerie, how many characters do you have so far in the Gaia Project?
I don't know. I should have counted them.
Yeah, do you have more than 10?
Perhaps. I think 10 sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the Gaia Project?
Well, it was something that, Jane, should I tell the whole story?
Yeah, go. This is the time to do it.
Okay. Well, Jane is also intimately involved in the creation of this Gaia project. The idea came to me when I was participating in a guided meditation. And it was a guided meditation given by this man who has a gift of energy, and Jane was presenting him, and I went as sort of a witness, because I always liked to, check out these people that Jane was presenting, just to make sure they were all right. I was very protective of Jane. So I went to this.
She remains protective of
I love that.
Yeah, that's always my no, Jane.
That's her emoji.
No. So at part of this day-long retreat, he led the gathering in a guided meditation. We laid on the ground, and oftentimes when I participate in guided meditations, I don't really, I'm interested, but nothing really ever happens to me. But I try to remain open, and so I was just laying there, just expecting to have a nice, relaxing time, and it was different. And I actually had a vision, and it was very clear, and I still remember what it was. It was a vision of women talking to me, close up on their faces, and the images were in black and white, but kind of that silver nitrate film from Ages Ago, where like the whites were very glowy, and it's just really beautiful. And they were speaking from their heart about their love of the natural world and the heartache that they felt at its destruction. And the the more women came to me, I suddenly realized, oh, these are all me. I didn't realize that at first. I don't know why, but
Just different aspects of you. I mean, did you?
aspects of me, or yeah, I mean, because I have a lot of grief and a lot of love, and it's all tangled up, but just so many different voices within myself trying to get out. And so when I came out of the guided meditation, I just thought to myself, well, that was a really interesting vision I just had. And, weeks went by and I kind of got a tap on the shoulder that said, you have to do that. And as Jane knows, I'm not really one of the types of people that, I'm not a kind of go-getter in terms of my career. I'm just one of those little introverts, and I love to be part of a group, and I love to help, bring creative visions to life in service of the whole piece. But I'm just not really at the head of the ramparts going, come on. So she's been really, really nagging me for a very long time.
I wouldn't call it nagging.
Well,
No, not Jane.
encouraging me quite urgently. You've got to get the Gaia project out there. So I know. But so when Jane came to me and asked me if I would record one of my Gaia pieces for Noon Miracle, I was terrified and excited and happy to do it. Happy to be able to have been given this platform, because I'm, I can talk myself out of anything, because it's like, well, what if I do it? And then what I do? Do I have to open a YouTube thing? And how do you do, just all that crazy, little sensitive artist going, I don't know.
It's so funny that she says sensitive artist, and she is sensitive, but the amount of the body of theater that this woman does,
I know, and hugely successful,
hugely successful,
like royalty. Yes.
Well, but I'm part of a collective. It's not. I'm not a solo artist. I'm not. It's all about being. And I did a lot of work with Bill Viola. The incredible video artist, the groundbreaking video artist, started in the 70s. He was one of the pioneers of video art, and he saw me in a play in 2000 that I was doing with Critical Mass Performance Group, and asked me to audition for him for some new work that he was doing for the Getty. And and I fell into all of that, and it wasn't anything I pursued. I was plucked by a master.
Because she's so talented. She's so talented.
That's how I roll usually. James knows that my whole mantra for my life is good or bad. I'm a leaf on a stream, and so I just kind of go where.
Maybe that's a secret of your success then, really, if you think about it. It's almost the opposite to what perhaps maybe how others perceive their journey in their career, like that go-getting, have to be someplace, instead of just sort of letting it happen. Is that?
Well, yeah, yes. I mean, I really don't have any regrets for how I've lived my life and how I've done my art. But other people, if they had walked in my shoes and lived my life, they'd be terribly frustrated, because some people have different goals. You consider this my success is the work that I've done, and I do too, but I haven't, I don't have riches and I don't have fame, but that's never been, the last time I moved, I was given these boxes, like, here, you've got to take these boxes. And I thought, what is in these boxes? And I opened it up, and it was all of my journaals and my diaries and things from when I was a teenager.
Prolific writer.
Yeah, and one of the things that I read was I think I was freshly out of high school, and I was transitioning to college, and I was writing about, what do I want, and I want to act, and I said, but I don't care about fame, and I don't care about money. I just want to do really work that is meaningful for me with incredible artists. And I read that, and I thought, well, I cast a spell, didn't I? Because that's exactly how I've lived my life. And I don't regret it. I've had extraordinary experiences and made extraordinary art with phenomenal people and, people of high acclaim. And so it's been such a gift of my life that I've had the type of life that has allowed me to do those things.
Right.
It's privileged in a way that I can do that.
I mean, from a time, and Amy, just so you know that, I mean, Valerie was transferred into UCLA's theater department, and I immediately saw her and didn't like her.
Why is that, Jane?
It's just interesting because not only was at that time beautiful, but so incredibly talented. And she got a part that I really wanted. And I barely auditioned to get through UCLA. I was working, but she comes in and swoops in immediately and gets this part that I really wanted. And I couldn't have done it nearly. And I saw her, I'm like, oh, even worse. Now she is so supremely talented. I mean, she just comes in with everything.
What was the part?
I think it was the one act with your South African accent.
Oh, Color Me White.
Color Me White. Yes. And talking about apartheid, yeah.
Yeah.
So back in those days, it wasn't until we were gathered into this acting continuum, which, you may want to talk about, Val, a little bit, but it wasn't until then that I realized what an extraordinary woman she also is. I was jealous of the unknown. I was jealous of her talent, and I really was so grateful to witness how she worked, so I could just get over myself and my fear of another woman, because I was afraid of women mostly. And she's become one of my, best friends. So it's been.
That's beautiful.
Anyway.
Well, we're gonna have to have another conversation around your fear of women. I want
and that was
that
past tense. But anyway, Val, you had been a part of the Noon Miracles at UCLA. I know that we've talked about this before, but then that led you to something else after UCLA? Did that lead you to working more in the theater after you did your Noon Miracle, or how did that work for you?
I've never really thought about whether that Noon Miracle led me to anything. It was, the Noon Miracle itself didn't inspire me into a life of the theater. It was my entire experience at UCLA, and that was just part and parcel of it. And the thing that I remember, I mean, I have a very Swiss cheese memory, and as I age, it's really gets very entertaining.
That's a great way to say it.
Yes.
Let me entertain you.
Yeah, I'm going to. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, right.
But
you worked with Nancy Keystone, yeah?
Yes, I worked with Nancy Keystone, and she's the artistic director of Critical Mass Performance Group, which is a theater company that I've been involved with for 35 years. And she is Critical Mass Performance Group. And there's people that are the core company, and then other people that come in and come out. But once you've performed with us, you are a member of Critical Mass Performance Group, and you never know when you're going to be called up to come and be in a new show. But the way we work is incredibly collaborative. Nancy is the spearhead. She's the leader. She comes up with the grand idea of what she wants the next piece to be about. She calls us together to sit around her table, and she presents her idea. And oftentimes I will go, really?
No judgment.
Yeah. Okay. And then we'll go on this remarkable journey of exploration. And it starts, we sit around her table, and she just plunks huge tomes, big, huge books down on the table, and gives us huge piles of Xerox stuff. And we just read and study and highlight. And then we get together, several nights a week and for weeks, and discuss what we found. And through the collaborative research and discussion, we begin to kind of pick out the major themes that we want to concentrate on the work. And then we'll dive down further, and we'll find interesting characters in the historical research, or, interactions or relationships. And then once we've, all those ideas have been percolating for several weeks, then we go into a physical space, and then we work entirely with our bodies. And she takes us through a series of exercises. Often, all of our work is just completely nonverbal, or we'll make sounds, and we try to find ways to express these grand themes and ideas and emotions and artifacts in our physical body, and we find a physical language for the piece. And then eventually we'll develop characters, and eventually she'll bring in scenes, and eventually, but and then we'll improv, and she'll write down things, and she'll take things that we've improv. So it's very, very collaborative. And then when she does bring in scenes, we'll read them, and then we'll have suggestions. And so all of our work is written and directed by Nancy Keystone, created in collaboration with the company. So
it's the most amazing process.
Yeah, and it takes years. I mean, our magnum opus, which I consider, is called Apollo, and it's a 3-act play, 3 completely different set changes, 2 intermissions, almost 4 hours long. We performed it at Portland Center Stage, but it took us 8 years to get to that point. And we had intermittent stops along the way. We performed the first 2 acts at the Kirk Douglas Theater in their inaugural season in Culver City, and we had we went through a development process with Center Theater Group,
which is part of Amundsen Group
and Taper,
yeah.
It's that Gordon Davidson. It's the big Los Angeles theater.
I'd say it's our main theater complex. So.
It's kind of like Lincoln Center. It's Center Theater.
Okay.
It's like that.
Valerie, where did this acting come from? Like, why at such a young age? What drove you to that?
Well,
I like that.
In 8th grade at Parkland High School in Woodland Hills, I was signing up for electives, and ceramics was full, so I had to take drama.
Ah, thank God ceramics was full.
Ceramics.
It was full. Damn it.
Yeah.
And I've still never taken any sort of ceramics class. I've always thought, I would love to be a potter, but that's just going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah, yet. But yeah, and then Stephen Ort was my drama teacher. He was really great. We're Facebook friends, and he's very wonderful, incredibly supportive, and he just it was really one of those kind of things that you hear people say, but the second I stepped on that tiny little stage and did my first little monologue, or I don't even know what it was, I thought, oh, this is what home feels like, and that was it. Boom, much to my father's chagrin.
May he rest in wherever he is.
Maybe rest in the dark.
So not fully supported.
No, but my grandfather on my mother's side, my dear, wonderful grandfather, his name was Leslie Edgley. He was born in London and then emigrated when he was a child to America. He was a writer, and he was a playwright, and he wrote for early television, he wrote radio, and he was hugely supportive and would come to all my junior high plays and write me reviews and trash all the other kids in the play, and the direction was horrible, but I mean, I still have his letters,
I've never seen those.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, he was hugely supportive. Yes, when my father told me that it was mental masturbation and a life spent doing other than anything than studying physics was a wasted life, all that stuff. So, but my grandfather
good for you for following your heart.
Yeah. I kind of had no choice.
Yeah. So Valerie, tell us a moment that felt like a miracle to you, if you've had any moments like that.
A moment that felt like a miracle. Oh, see, Jane knows when I get these types of questions, like, what's your favorite book? And I go, I go,
that's actually true to me.
What's a book?
You know what I fall to when somebody says that? I feel bad about my neck.
Yes, Nora Ephron.
Yes, I love that book.
I love that. Yeah,
that's my first go-to.
Yeah,
that's
smart.
good. I gotta have
like.
Nobody's ever asked me the miracle question before.
Is it something in performance or something of life? There's no right or wrong answer on this one. You were just talking about getting
participated in Noon Miracle. That's it.
The first time. Yeah. I just wish I could remember. I just remember the feeling around it. I remember, I don't think I knew Nancy that well at the time. I don't know how I got involved in it. She asked me to be in it. There were lots of women in it, and I only remember one, Christina Giffen. And there was one guy, Mark DiCarlo. I still haven't told you why he was in that, Jane.
Someone I know. Yes.
And but as I told Jane before, I do remember the feeling of walking into the room when we were right before we performed and seeing all, because you never knew what you were going to find. You would put up a flyer, or you would say, "Come see our new miracle. It's starting in 10 minutes," and you didn't know if anybody would come see it. And then just seeing all the folding chairs that we had put out packed, and then people just crammed and sitting on the floor.
Yeah, standing room only for sure.
Wow, that's great
Oh,
feeling.
hoop
So
skirts
many
and
people.
petticoats.
Yeah, it was so exciting for, yeah, hoop skirts and petticoats. And this other part of the title that I don't remember, it was very long. And it was feminist poetry acted out by very excited young people. And Jane remembers scaffolding, and I remember like a roll of chain link, and we could both be wrong. I don't know.
I was sitting next to a pole on the aisle, so I remember scaffolding because I was holding
Okay.
onto the pole.
Okay. Well,
But
then
maybe I constructed that memory too, Val. Who knows?
I
We
don't
built the
know.
memory together.
I don't know, but it was exhilarating because, flying by the seat of your pants. We probably, I don't even know. Yeah, we memorized it. I don't even remember how many poems I did or what I did, but
I will
it
find
was
that file.
just, it was, and I was a junior transfer to UCLA, and so it was just kind of like I got just catapulted into this creative cauldron of just people bouncing off the walls, doing art at 3 o'clock in the morning in the sculpture garden. There's Don Juan Tenorio, right? They're doing some weird, I don't know, Faust or Tim Robbins doing stuff with Lee Ehrenberg and all, just people all over the place. And I was in a play with Ben Stiller.
Uh,
Yeah, back when he was little Ben Stiller. He was part of the chorus.
Yeah, the golden days of
Yeah, it was a
UCLA.
big Brecht play. There were 42 guys and 4 girls.
wow.
And I was one of them. Yeah, because you didn't have to pay the actors, so you could just cram that stage full of bodies.
Yeah, yeah.
Big, yeah, Brecht play. Ben was he was a little gangster number 2 or something. Um, yeah. So yeah, I mean okay, that I'll take that as a miracle. The fact that I went to Cal State Northridge not knowing what I was going to do. I didn't have any ambition. My boyfriend wanted me to stay in the valley. Oh,
Because UCLA is so far away. It's
right.
the
Well, I
hill.
hadn't even thought about UCLA, but then my dear friend Kenny Rhodes, yeah, he was horrible. But my dear friend Kenny Rhodes went to UCLA, and I went to see him in a play there, and I thought I could go there. So I applied there as a junior transfer, and Kenny wrote me a letter of recommendation to the theater department. And then I went off to Europe, because I had sold shoes for a year and saved money, and my friend Sarah and I went off to Europe for 3 months, and I got accepted. And it was miraculous because I just thought, I'll go there. And I got accepted. So that was miraculous. And I feel like really when I went to UCLA, that's when my life began.
Wow.
Interesting. And then we met Jenny Penny too, who changed things up for so many of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're all still together.
That's beautiful.
Formed. Yeah. So that's the miracle, because I was really kind of just sort of floundering and not really directed. And I had a lot of emotional blocks because of a traumatic childhood, like a lot of people do, a lot of actors and artists do. And especially in Jenny's class, the acting continuum, it was a method class. It was a 3-quarter year-long acting class where we just really plumbed the depths. And I got cracked wide open in that class. A lot of people did. And kind of found my heart and kind of healed my little poor damaged soul. And that was
Yeah.
going to that place was a miracle.
Well, thank you so much for sharing Believe at Noon with us. Really appreciate it. Our very first chat.
I'm
And
so
I'm so
honored.
happy it's Valerie.
Oh,
Yes.
thank
Thank you so
you.
much. We're really grateful.
Thank you, Valerie. Love you so much. And
You
may we
too.
all be as inspired as you just to listen to that inner voice, too. I mean, really, you get whatever that tap might be. I'm so glad that you're listening to your taps as well, too. Maybe I'll go there, or maybe I'll write that. Maybe I
Yeah.
can write those pieces down because I love that. You know
Yeah.
I do. And I love you.
You too. Thank
Thanks so much.
you. All right.
Thank you.